We had Leticia here because she's the CEO of a hospital that of almost everybody we know, she has probably one of the greatest tendencies of gambling on people.
And the gamble works. They tend to step up and get there. So
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about a gamble or two that didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. So the gamble that didn't work out, it was somebody internally we're looking for that had worked in that department. That individual wanted to do it. I definitely wanted them to, grow and be confident in their role. But, I've probably a couple years and we're still not where we need to be at. And we had a heart to heart. We said, we've got to do a performance improvement plan. We've tried these things and finished the PIP and we're still kind of not meeting the mark. And actually that employee just came to my office and said, I can't do it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fail you, and I enjoy my job. I want to step down, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, but I just can't be that person, and I thought, that's really big of that person to acknowledge that, but yet it wasn't like awkward or weird, or he didn't hate me for it. And I mean, I felt like it was my fault initially, like I can't get through. What am I doing wrong? Why can't, it click, but he made a great hand. He just was not the leader. We made that switch, and again, he was happy. I was happy. Mm-hmm. It was better for the organization. So.
Yeah. And so why this conversation matters is most people listening to this can intuit that, it makes sense when we select from inside. That gives people motivation. It gives them a chance to step up. What may be a little bit less appreciated is that in some places, it's actually, you can't just pick from 100 people for a job.
Right.
Where Leticia works is in a rural part of Texas, mm-hmm. and it's in oil country, and so it's expensive.
Correct.
And so there's an extra bang for your buck when you actually hire inside,
right?
Because you're not going to have, if you're a San Diego or a Portland or a Seattle, you're not going to have 100 25-year-olds mm-hmm. who want that job. Yeah. And the second thing that internal hires do, and we see this, Cindy and I, in our role as consultants, because we're talking to a lot of people in an organization. There are times when you need to hire externally. You get new blood. You don't have the expertise you need. A number of
too much of a gap between what you have and what you need.
Yeah, the gap is too big. Although Leticia's unusually willing to let people make big stuff. But you're right. One thing that I'll say from our vantage point, doing this work for 20 years, is when you hire outside, the people inside basically want to know, why are we not good enough?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question, it rattles around in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And we see people who will get passed over and somebody external will get hired.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder of, whenever possible, lean towards the inside, because you're actually sending a very clear message to people. There wasn't any of you who could do this. And it's hard for me to remember a time when you didn't give somebody a shot. But here's the other. A lot of these people you take gambles on, they're under enormous pressure.
They are.
Not only because it's a big jump, mm-hmm. which would be normal, but they know the boss took a chance on me, and they're very much want to make good on that. And so
that goes with the issue she was talking about before, where she can't be the first to speak mm-hmm. because they're so motivated to please her.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, I don't mean to speak for Leticia, but your experience is one of, usually people will actually rise.
They will.
Yeah.
I think they know. I've been there a long time, 11 years, and there's a lot of my leaders that have been just as long in that, role or in a prior role. And so you build a lot of trust within, and that's what I have, trust, loyalty, and then they don't want to disappoint me, is what they say, because I did take that, chance on them. And I'm very humbled when, they do that, but I also don't want them to fail. And so I make sure that I'm always have an open door policy, or I make sure I tell them, do you have what you need? Do you need anything from me? Or if after so long, it's like family, and when they're down, or a certain expression that they have, or not smiling like they do. And so I said, okay, something's going on here. Or again, you've got that camaraderie. And so even if it's not me directly, I know I can go through somebody else as up and say, hey, what's going on here? Yeah. Well, let's try to get them, let's, get some of that off their plate, or, so you just kind of balance it out. You learn the dynamics of the team and the people, and it becomes easier over time. Again, it's a little bit harder initially, right? Because you're still kind of, you're taking that, risk, as you said, but that risk turns into a great reward later. And that's what I've seen. I think I've seen more reward than really risk.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good reminder that, many leaders, especially she's CEO, so she's at the very top, they don't last for 11 years.
No.
But if you do, the CEO you became at the beginning may not be the CEO you're going to be at year 5, at year 7,
Exactly.
at year 9.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a very, very stable industry and a very stable organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the hospital Leticia took over doesn't bear any resemblance to the hospital now.
No.
And you took it over with a young team.
Correct.
Many of whom stayed with you.
Yes.
And all of you went through a growth period together.
Definitely.
And then at some point there's a time where now you've had a few years under your belt as CEO, and they've had a few years in their role.
Yes.
And so all of the drill sergeant that was required for the turnaround will become profoundly counterproductive.
And that's the drill sergeant. It tends to be typical for a crisis, and also tends to be typical when you have somebody who, like, you are actively developing in the early stages where they don't know what they're doing. So it's being directive. And so you had like kind of those two forces together, where like you're just using them almost as hands initially.
Yeah.
And then eventually they become brains.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that Leticia's very good at, it's not as sexy as just saying, oh yeah, take a chance on people, is she actually puts resources to bear. As an example, I can think of somebody you took a chance on, and you basically hired a tutor. And so, I mean, this is mind-boggling for like, yep, I want you to do this job. You can do it. And then there's a little struggle. And then you're like, you know what? We're going to actually pay for you to have basically a tutor. It's somebody who's done this job and who can come in and help you, and you can call anytime you need them. Yeah. And so there's a lot of instrumental or just resource-based ways that you're not just running around saying, you can do it, and then walking off. You're putting some of the money,
time and money.
Yeah, investing in them.
Yeah.
And explaining those opportunities that we present to them, whether it's the leadership classes, whether it is, a Microsoft class, or whatever it is that we're trying to develop, and just saying, take this on. You may, this will help you grow you. You will take these skills on. I mean, I want y'all to be here forever, right? But we know reality happens. They may have to move on, but those are skill sets that they take with them, and no one can take that away. And so, we, again, try to make sure they're going to be successful in the role that I have asked them to do.
People are pretty sensitive, and they know when you're actually pouring into them. And resources is a way that it's not as sexy as putting your arm around somebody and saying, I believe in you, you can do it. Like, remember the Titans motivation. But it's equally as powerful, maybe more so.